It's the month of love. All those pink, cutesy book covers, the hearts, the flowers, small town, friends to lovers, second chance, cutesy romances. They'll all end in a happily ever. No, thank you. Not today. No, 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 no. Not everybody wants cozy and heartwarming in February. And I am here for you guys today. Anti-Love Day. Find the best in anti-romance books. Books that include things like self-discovery, soccer themes, holistic relationships, on idealistic relationships with cynical or realistic alternatives to all the hearts and cuteness. Join me for some of the best recs for those of us who feel February gives us a sickly, sweet, bookish hangover. Welcome back to The Adulterous Whore. I'm your host, Stacey. Have you missed me? I know it has been a weird transition from 2025 to 2026. I have been spending a lot of time doing other bookish podcasts. I am setting up other channels with co-hosts. I found my cousin, I didn't find her, but my cousin decided to come on board and do a channel with me. I thought she was going to come on as a co-host for this channel, but she decided she wanted to do something more. Which we did, Betty and Bonnie's The Shit Talking Book Slayers. And you can find our episodes on our channel. So if you just type in Betty and Bonnie Book Slayers, you will find us pretty much everywhere on Google. And then obviously I have the Toppling TBR with Hannah. And we've been producing some of the longest episodes. They're fantasy, so fan series tend to be okay with longer episodes. And that's cool too. Again, you can find us at the Toppling TBR pretty much anywhere. And then again, I thought my friend Jace would come on and be a co-host. So we were going to do a 7-segment read between the pages on Taylor Jenkins Reid and have our deep dives on 7 of her books. But Jace got the podcasting bug, I like to call it. And now we have a channel, Stace and Jace Spill the Book. So I have been spread just a touch thin, but I am going to make the commitment to at least record something and post every Friday. Because honestly, I have missed just being me, doing the me thing and hanging out with you guys and not having to worry about letting someone else talk. So let's get on with it. Now, I do have a big episode coming up next week. I have been doing all this research on doing a true crime fiction podcast. So setting up the parameters like it's a real true crime podcast, but rather than taking a real life crime, I took a crime that happened in a fictional book. Now, for my first roll through, I thought I would do a real crime, but from a fictionalized perspective. So I have been doing a lot of the groundwork for my episode of The Black Dahlia, James Elroy, a true crime podcast. And it's all going to sound and be done like a true crime podcast. And honestly, I'm supersonic excited, but I am supersonic shitting my pants too. So it's going to be a wild ride. So I hope you join me for that next week. Now, not everybody loves February with all the cutesy, lovey-dovey, love hearts and rainbows and butterflies and happily ever afters. There are a lot of people out there who see the more cynical side of February, which is not everybody has a big love. It's not all fairy tales and princes and princesses and big dresses. It's hard being in February, especially when you're single or you don't like romance novels. So I've come up with a selection of books, ones that break from the traditional narratives and more focuses on things like emphasizing individual character growth, the realities of heartbreak or the dangers of really unhealthy relationships. Now, I'm married. I love my husband. Like, I do not have like this really anti-romance vibe. But last year I was like, and I went on a binge of horrors. Okay. And I'm not going to do that to you. I'm a little unhinged, but I have found some really good fiction books that I think some of you might enjoy. So let's break them down. Now, one of the top books is one of my favorites, and it's Eleanor Olympium. It's Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Now, if you haven't read this book yet, I'd be really surprised because it was huge when it first came out. It's huge. And this book basically focuses on the protagonist's journey of personal growth and overcoming trauma with human connection and mental health at its core. There's no romantic arc in here. Now, it has key themes that include things like profound loneliness, the lasting impacts of a childhood trauma, and the healing power of kindness and human connection. Now, I highly recommend this book. When it came out and I read it and I'm like, wow. I'm like, wow, wow, wow. Like the writing was really good. I really enjoyed the substance. I could connect. Even though I hadn't lived through some of this stuff, I could still really connect, and I really, really enjoyed it. So, if you are looking for something that's not gonna be wishy-washy and romancy and a white knight on a horse, or maybe you're one of those girls right now where it's a cowboy on a horse, or a hockey player. Oh god, there are a lot of those out there, the hockey romance girls. I love you. I really do. I found a few that I really enjoyed too. But for those people out there that are looking for something a little different in February, definitely give that one a go. Another one that I really enjoyed, and I was actually really surprised I liked it. I don't even remember who recommended me the book, but I'm really glad they did because I actually enjoyed the heck out of it. It's called All Fours by Miranda July. Now, this book explores the complexities of marriage and desire through a raw and unconventional lens. The radical reclamation of sexual desires, the reevaluation of marriage and motherhood, and the desire to break free from predictable routines to seek a new and authentic self. And I think that's really important for people that are maybe in marriages right now or relationships where they're feeling very unfulfilled because just because you're a mother doesn't mean that you should be super thankful that you get to wipe poopy butts all day. Or just because you're married that you have to wash your husband's disgusting socks. Okay? That's not, no, no, that's, you shouldn't feel grateful for that. If you need more out of your life and you still want to be a good mother and good wife, awesome sauce. That's who this book I think will really, really stand out for. I really believe that. It was really well written. And I think if you read it and you really enjoy it, you can thank me later. Ooh, and another book. Now, this book, I wasn't ready for it. So when I started reading it, I was like, okay, I need to put this down and come back later. It was a bit much content wise for me. I understand my limitations as a reader. I'm a moody, it's a mood thing for me. If I know that I'm not vibing with a book, I know to put it down and come back later. The trouble is sometimes I forget and I put it on a pile and I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? But this book I did come back later to, and it's Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. Now, you've probably heard of the author. She's released some pretty good stuff over the course of her career. And this book focuses on chaotic, impulsive marriage in New York, focusing on the decay of the relationships. Intense loneliness is one of the key themes, addiction, power imbalances, and a search for belonging. Now, it examines how trauma can drive self destructive behaviors. And I've seen this in real life with characters using each other to fill up emotional voids rather than building a healthy partnership. Now, if you're honest with yourself, you've probably been there at some point where you have been slightly toxic in yourself. And rather than dealing with your issues, you're pushing them out and taking them out on somebody else. I know I've done it. I know you've all done it. Okay. Nobody has not never done this. But this book was a real eye opener for me. It cast a very harsh glare on some of the things that I was seeing in my own life, And I really, really enjoyed it. The writing was really, really good. I felt connected to the story. It was a little bit of a slower paced book, and that's okay because we're not looking for a cute romance today. We're looking for something that's going to hit us in the feelers, that's going to hurt us a little bit, it's going to make us think and maybe reevaluate some of the shitty behaviors in our own life. So, the next book that I am recommending for my anti Valentine's Day people, The Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Now, this is a book. I did the audio. This is a book that is not for the faint of heart, okay? It really is not. Now, the story is all about self discovery, where the protagonist finds independence despite oppressive, tragic romantic encounters. Yeah, this was. It was a difficult read for me, so that's why I switched to audio in the first place. I had to wait ages for it too because my library kind of sucks for some audiobooks. Some of the key themes in this book are things like the pursuit of voice and autonomy. So you can get the idea of what kind of book you can expect to be getting. The contrast between stifling and liberating relationships. We've probably all been in a very just stifling relationship in our life. And then we probably found one where we're like, whoa, what the hell? Where did all the walls go? You know what I mean? And finding inner strength and independence of traditional societal expectations. Yeah, it was one heck of a book. It was one heck of a book. And it's one of those books that you read, and if you are a rereader, you probably won't reread it because it's not one of those books that you can bring yourself to read again. Even though, for me, it was a 4.5 stars. Okay. So that's going to tell you just how phenomenally good I felt this book was, but I will never put myself through that again, ever. Okay, this next book, oh, I'm so sorry if I'm going to mispronounce this bloody name. I'm terrible with names, and this one's really hard. So it's Stay With Me by Anyobami Adebayo. Oh, I'm sorry if I screwed that up. I'm horrible with names. Anyone that knows me knows I'm horrible with names. Now, this is a gripping exploration of the pressures of marriage and infertility. Now, this is not something I've ever had to worry about. I have 6 kids. I did have a miscarriage, and it was quite devastating, and I already had kids, so I could imagine what it must feel like if you really want to be a mother and it's just not in the cards for you. Like, this book might hurt you a little bit, so for me, this might be a trigger warning moment for anybody that suffers through infertility. Maybe check to see if this book is okay for you. So it offers a stark contrast to a fairy tale romance. It really does. It really does. So, some of the key themes in this book you're going to find are things like the strain of infertility and child loss, the weight of the patriarchy and tradition, the intersection of love and betrayal, and the consequences of keeping secrets. Now, again, it was one of those books it was really good. It was such a good book. And I recommended it to a bunch of people, and they were like, why would you give me such a tragic book? And well, I thought the writing was brilliant. I thought the subject matter was clever and I really enjoyed it. So fuck you. Get in there. I have nobody to take the reins while I drink tea. Peppermint today. Okay. So How to Say Goodbye in Robot by Natalie Staniford. Now, this book, okay, I tried 3 times to read it. But again, I was not in the right headspace to read it. And I read it really recently. And it's a young adult novel focusing on a strange friendship and emotional detachment. Now, I think when you read books like this, you have to be in a certain mindset. You have to be willing to be ready and prepared for that because this book covers key themes like emotional isolation, mental health, deep platonic love, which I thought was really nice, family secrets, and the difficult process of learning to let things go. Now, if you're going to read it, I actually suggest buddy reading it with somebody uh, just because it's nice to have somebody to talk to, especially about some of the things that will come up, and it will really help. I think it will really help. Now, we're moving into the anti romance, thrillers, and darker reads. Now, this book I really struggled with. I was not a massive fan of this book at all. And it's funny because Grady Hendrix happens to be one of my favorite authors, but it was The Southerner's Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. It's a blend of satire, which it is, and horror that rejects the typical housewife narrative. It covers things like suburban complacency, the erasure of women's voices, and the dangers of racial and social economic qualities back in the years in South Carolina. Now, my biggest problem was that I did the audio and the narration's voices were I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I ended up buying a paperback copy, but because the voice from, like, the Southern it's not that I don't like Southern voices, it's just for some reason the narrator's voice just wasn't quite right. I don't think it was irritating me more than it was exciting me. The book is still sitting on my TBR, and I hate myself for it, I really do, but I can't every time I think about cracking it open, I hear the voice and I'm like, "I can't do it. I can't freaking do it." But my friend loved this book. It was the one Grady Hendrix book that she read where she was like, "Oh, I was a 5 star." And I'm like, "So I know that people love it. I know that it would hit the mark for anybody looking for something that's not romance." Trust me, okay? I really wanna read it. It's just I'm gonna have to wait until, like, I can bleach my brain or something. Ooh, another one is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Oh, I love this book so much. It was such a good read. I am a big fan of Sally Rooney, mind you, but it was one of those books where I'm just like, yeah. Oh, yeah, checked every box. Now, while the characters are in love, the narrator is an excruciating portrayal of things like misunderstandings, betrayals, slights, hesitations. Like, you can see the realistic things that go on in a relationship and the things that kept them apart. It is obviously not an idealistic way of being in a relationship. And it was a starkly depressing viewpoint on what it's like to be in love. And I love that. You don't have to be in love to appreciate that some people have healthy relationships, but you also don't have to not be in love to understand that sometimes relationships are crappy and things happen and shit happens and you could be having a bad time of it. There could be toxic stuff going on. There could be miscommunications. I fucking hate miscommunication in a book, but it happens and that can cause problems. And that is the realism in relationships and in life. Okay. It's realistic. It's not some kinda like, it's not all sunshines and rainbows, it's really not. If you ask any person in a relationship what their number one negative thing is about being in a relationship, they will have one. I am telling you right now, they probably have a list. Now, that's not to say that the pros don't outweigh the cons. Seriously, but some of these books set women up for unrealistic expectations of what a romance could be. These big mountain men who are grumpy that are sweet and kind and gentle and they love you forever. Do you know how great in the grumpy gets after a while? Like all the negativity, it's horrible. Okay. I live in a grumpy sunshine relationship right now. Okay. I am sunshine and fucking rainbows 95% of the time. My husband is cynical and everything is glass half empty. And yeah, it was charming at first. It's fucking charming almost 11 years later. Trust me on that. And that's what these books don't teach you, okay? Now, as much as I love to complain about my husband, we're going to continue on. Now, some of the key themes in this book are things like class disparity, power dynamics, emotional intimacy, identity formation, which is a huge one. The narrative highlights things like socioeconomic background, mental health struggles, the communication gaps, which is what I was talking about miscommunication. I hate miscommunication. Shape young in love, moving from high school to island in adulthood. Now, it's one heck of a book. And if that's the one book that you pick out of this list, let me know what you think. Because honestly, I don't think that you can't help but be charmed by this story. Okay, next. Love by Angela Carter. Now, this book should have been called Pain, okay? Because that's what it felt like. Love? Fuck no. Pain. Pain, fucking pain. It's basically about this emotionally fraught love triangle and the chaos and destruction of the characters that they inflict on themselves and each other. It was one of those books where you're like, oh my fucking God, when is this gonna end? They literally, oh, I don't know, like the characters together just, they made me angry. Okay. And there is very little in the way of traditional romance in this book. So there is a lot of self loathing. There's the absurdity of like traditional romance, which was kind of nice. The cruelty of passion and the ultimate alienation of individuals who rely entirely on one another for validation. And I think it's a very clever book because it shows you that if all your happiness is coming from somebody else, that's not where you should be. You should be looking inwards for your happiness. If you hurt, you shouldn't be hurting other people. You know what I mean? It was a very intriguing and interesting book. Now, this next one I picked because fuck, whatever. I love Rachel Hawkins, okay? And I thought it was a really clever one to add in here. Reckless Girls. And if you haven't read it yet, I can't believe you, and I can't believe that you still watch my channel because, hello, come on. Now, it's a thriller that turns relationships into a dangerous game. Now, this is one of those books where when I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So it's all about female agency, pursuit of power, and the corrupting nature of isolation because they're all on like boat, right? And it was so good. It was so good. Now, the story dives into how characters, particularly women, navigate class based inequalities and the patriarchy, often resorting to vigilante justice. Trust me, it's well worth the read. Jealousy and betrayal in a dangerous, secluded island setting. And if you are a thriller reader, you probably already read it. But if you haven't, get the fuck on that. Get on that. I'm not joking. It was brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, we're going to whip into the anti romance and non romantic choices in a more young adult setting. So, this next book is The How and the Why by Cynthia Han. And this one focuses on adoption and personal growth rather than a romantic entanglement, which will be a nice reprieve for anybody not looking for cupcakes. Yeah, fucking pink cupcakes. So this book also includes things like adoption, identity, and the complexities of a mother-daughter relationship. So you're still getting a relationship. It's just not in a romantic format, and that will really help. So it basically follows 18-year-old Cass while she searches for her birth mother while navigating high school, her parents' health struggles, and her own identity. And as somebody that's obviously not adopted, I could feel the anguish and the confusion and all the other things that Cass went through. And I really think that this book will be a winner for anybody that's not looking for massively complex themes, but would like something to buy on that's not romance based. This one's a classic and a second half, and it's The Giver by Lois Lowry. Now, this one obviously is a dystopian classic, zero romance. You're welcome. It's basically about the necessity of human emotions, memory, and individuality. Now, some of the key themes that are talked about in the book are that life without pain or choice is not worth living. I'm not entirely sure I 100% agree with that, but it's all about strict conformity and security over freedom. Lightning, showing how a utopian based on sameness suppresses true humanity, love, and growth. The Giver is one of those books that keep on giving. Now, I had actually never read it in childhood. And my husband's like, "You've never read The Giver?" I'm like, "No." So he bought me a copy. And then he browbeat me until I read it. And I'm glad he did because it's actually quite the novel. It was quite the book. I was quite impressed. And last, but by no means least, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. King love this book. Love it. One of my favorites. The first time I picked it up, it hit my top 5 and it has never left my top 5 ever. It's brilliant. Genius writing. Clever, clever, clever. It's based during wartime, focusing on friendship, books, and survival. It covers some of the key themes of love, loss, and the duality of human nature, kindness versus cruelty, morality, and the profound impact of words, reading, and storytelling. All set against the harsh backdrop of Nazi Germany, and it's basically narrated by Death himself, and he's very empathetic, just so you know, very empathetic. And some of the key themes are resilience of the human spirit, finding beauty among suffering, the power of language for both good, comfort and connection, and evil, propaganda, and the formation of found family. Now, some of those book choices might be a little rough around the edges for some of you. And I've got nothing against hoity-toity romance books. I've got nothing against happily ever afters. I love cozy stuff. But I think there's times for everything. And February doesn't necessarily have to be the month of romance and pink and bubblegum and sighing and ooh, because I don't agree with that. I don't. I do not think that just because it's February that we should be having romance rammed down our fucking throats. Now, I love things like Bridgerton, obviously loaded full of romance. I love Emily Henry. I love Christina Lauren, Abby Jimenez. I like romance. I do. I love small town. I love cozy vibes. I love the meet cutes and the, oh my God, you took my coffee cup. I love all that shit. I do. I do. But I do not love how much it gets rammed down my throat in February. And I kind of figured there would be people like me out there. There has to be other readers like me out there. So this list is for you. And I hope that you have enjoyed the list that I have put together for you. If you go to the comments and start telling me which ones you've read or which ones that you want to read, we could probably discuss them too. I found each of them very valuable in their own way. They were all very well written. They were all memorable. They are all on my shelf. February can be a really hard time for some people. And if you see people struggling this month because they're lonely and they're isolated, try reaching out. Try giving them something to hold on to because friendship is just as important as relationships. Now, if you are struggling, you can always reach out to me. You can reach out to me on Instagram at L'Adulterous Whore. You can reach out to me on TikTok at L'Adulterous. I probably wouldn't reach out to me on TikTok because it's full of men offering me sugar baby money. So I don't go there often. You can email me at l'adulterous@gmail.com. You can find me on my Facebook page at L'Adulterous. I obviously have a store, not that you can reach out to me on that, but that's bookloriandesigns.etsy.com or bookloriandesigns.com. I am here for you readers. If you feel the need to reach out and talk, if you have any questions about other books that are not in the romance genre, maybe you just need to talk to somebody today. I'm here for you. I hope that you have enjoyed my first episode all by myself in 2026. And I do have some author interviews coming up. I think I have actually about 8 of them to read the books of and book and do. So those will be coming up as well. And you can catch my true crime fiction podcast next week. If you need me, I'm here. But until next week, take care, readers.